Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Kamlesh Kumar from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. I am going to talk on module the National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights. In short, it is known as Ncdhr. It is based in Delhi and working for Dalit rights in Indian democracy. The Dalit rights has become a buzz in Indian society because since historically the people are suffragation, subjugation, and now they are claiming for their rights after long struggles in India. The dominant power struggle has transformed their rights and remedy which they are claiming to integrate in the mainstream of Indian society. The prejudice, discrimination based on caste is reality in Indian society. Though the government law and policy have provided various safeguards towards empowering Dalit community and participation, ensuring their in judicial making and their participation in various aspects of democracy. Although the laws, policy, the initiatives, they are not proved enough for combating the caste-based violation in the country. The National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights (Ncdhr) has been playing a vital role while representing voice to the voiceless community and ultimate justice to the victims of atrocities as well as monitoring the effectiveness of law of the land. Who is the Dalit? That's the first question. Dalits are the downtrodden community officially known as scheduled caste and scheduled tribes people in India. According to the census 2011, Dalit comprises 24.4% of total population, including scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. The people of Dalit community exist across India and do not share a single language and religion. It means cut across the religions, Dalits are there. What is the human rights for Dalit people? According to Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, human rights means recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice and peace in the world. Section 2, Clause D of the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993, amended in 2006, describe human rights means right relating to life, liberty, equality and dignity of individual guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by the courts in India. As far as the domestic law is concerned, the Constitution of India in its Article 41 related with right to equality, Article 15, right against prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex and place of birth and so many. And especially Article 17 talking about right against untouchability, right to life and personal liberty, significant in the development of Dalit rights in India. At the global level, United Nations since its inception adopted several treaties, conventions and covenants pertaining to indigenous people and their human rights as rights against racial practice as well as right to self-determination and human dignity. Dalit movements in India began with fighting against practice of untouchability by prominent personality in the past, namely Dr. V.R. Ambedkar, Mahatma Jyotibai Phule and E.V.R. Periyar, although they were belonged to the same community who had seen inhuman practice prevailed in the society. However, even some of the leaders who were not also acknowledged and raised voices against it, namely Mahatma Gandhi, Swami Vivekananda and others, contributed towards its evolution. However, the practice intact until the law made it eradicate from the inherent structure of social life. Unfortunately, the efforts of the social reformers yet to be realized in the elimination of the practice of untouchability, as now it is turned into different forms and dimensions perpetuated in the micro and micro levels, violence and atrocities. In fact, that the untouchability and atrocities are in course and assume greater safeguards to the weaker sections of society. The various reasons for the new forms of violence termed as a modern form of atrocities perceived by the many scholars due to power struggle of downtrodden to the dominant power politics, their greater participation in the administration and decision-making process, including representation, bureaucracy and politics, having land and other resources and holding accessibility of natural resources, have disturbed the existing power structure and dominance of few in the society. Unlike the past, when the opposition was mainly by individuals, now the violence is by a community as a whole. The recent cases of Una in Gujarat, then in Maharashtra, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh are the examples of mass violence against Dalit community. This recent trend is described as a hate crimes against scheduled caste in India. Despite being charged with a constitutional mandate to promote social justice, various grassroots level government and non-government functionaries in India continue to practice untouchability and human rights violations against Dalit. Practice untouchability and human rights violations against Dalit, including non-registration of case, registering case only under political pressure or in response to mass protest, or when the victims of his relative insist on registering a case, law enforcement authorities, including police, use brutality to dissuade them from registering a case officially, often act under the influence of political parties and dominant social groups who want to keep the Dalit community suppressed. In numerous clashes between caste groups, the police have regularly sided with the members of upper caste group, while the Dalit can complain about non-registration of FIR to higher authorities. Action taken on the basis of such complaint is often too late and fails to provide direct protection against threats and harassment. It is reported that social activists who are fighting against caste discrimination are subjected to attack and harassment by the state and powerful people in the society. Other method of harassment, including the filing of apparently false cases to even detain Dalit right defenders at the investigation stage. Delay at the every stage is a common feature. Harassment and intimidation of witnesses for deposing against upper caste perpetrators delays the process of recording statements and collecting evidence. Delays in conducting post-mortem and or falsification of post-mortem reports are also unknown tactics used by delay or distort the investigation process. The role of local functionaries such as the Talati, Police Patil Gram, Sevak and others in the delaying the registration and investigation of the case cannot be overlooked. All these functionaries and local media are known to be hand in glove with upper caste elites in the rural area. In urban areas, the scenario is not much different. Sometimes the investigation is delayed because social boycott is difficult to prove and the concerned authorities are ignorant of the procedure. Law enforcement agencies or authority fumble due to ignorance of the procedure to be followed, thereby enabling the upper caste to take advantage of the situation once the case is filed in the court of law. The police consider that their job is over and there is a slackness in the following the case through. Judicial delay is just one cause of the low conviction rate. The time lapses between the case being registered and the trial means that the witnesses, who are often poor, face intimidation, turn hostile, resulting in the case becoming too big for the conviction. That's why conviction is low. The long wait also results in many plaintiffs losing interest. Judicial bias against Dalit is rampant and unchecked. Nevertheless, some of the non-government organizations and NGOs have come forward to cause for Dalit human rights in India in recent years. Most of their tasks engage with fact-finding, documentation, legal aid, and taking up atrocities cases for litigants, while advocacy for compensation and rehabilitative measures for victims' families. As the gigantic task to provide protection to the victims and witnesses is remaining intact, that have not been observed backbone for the failure of the cases at the trial level. Consequently, recidivism or repeat offences against Dalits worsen the situation. Rule of law, access to justice in the largest democracy of the world. Ncdhr Vision, Mission and Objectives. The National Campaign on Dalit Rights was launched on 10 December 1998 by concerned human rights activists among Dalits, dedicated towards the effectiveness of the implementation of SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989 in the different 14 states of India. Vision of National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights is an India non-party-based secular platform with the vision to regain and establish the human dignity, rights and security of Dalit community. Objectives are the broad objectives of Ncdhr are the following: to hold the state accountable for all human rights violations committed against Dalit communities, to sensitize civil society while raising visibility of Dalit problems, and to render justice to Dalit victims of discrimination and violence. Working methodology: signature campaign, organize public gathering, documentation of cases, organize international and national conferences on Dalit issues, advocacy for Dalit rights, networking with grassroots organizations, fighting for impunity, monitoring of the cases of atrocities and enforcement of anti-discrimination law, sensitize public and social institutions about on issue of caste, advocacy through research and documentations. Networking: national campaign on Dalit human rights is with like-minded organizations and associations in India and abroad for concerning about Dalit rights. Some of them are listed below, just as International Dalit Solidarity Network, Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, Social Watch Tamil Nadu, Safai Karamchari Andolan, Human Rights Law Network, Social Awareness, Society for Youth, Sakshi Human Rights Watch, AP Dynamic Action Group, Nav Saranjan Trust, Center for Social Justice, Development Initiative, Visionaries of Creative Action for Liberation and Progress, Center for Dalit Rights, Jaipur, Nestor for Ncdhr Coalition. Since inception, 2 national consultations were held on the formation of Ncdhr during October and November 1998. Over 220 academics, activities, Dalit movements, human rights organizations and Dalit organizations participated in these consultations. In these consultations, a national level committee and 10 state level committees were formed, thereby initiating National Campaign for Dalit Human Rights. Different phases of task handled by National Campaign for Dalit Human Rights. In first phase, raising visibility, and second phase, internalization of Dalit rights. Third phase, holding stage accountable, and phase 1, raising visibility of Dalit issue at various levels, primarily relying on an event-based strategy. It has emerged to successfully raise the visibility of Dalit rights at the state, national and international level. Some of the key achievements during this phase were massive signature campaign with around 25 lakh signatures submitted to the Prime Minister of India regarding Dalit issue. The UNWCR Durban Conference of 2001, Dalit Sodhikar Rally conceptualized during the Dalit sector consultation at Hyderabad started on 6 December 2003. The Millennium Dalit chapter was released at Jaipur on 10th and 11th August 2005. Phase 2, International Dalit Rights. In the second phase, Ncdhr has made major strides in giving visibility to the plight of Dalit community in the South Asia. Ncdhr's work has been instrumental in bringing the kind of international attention and media coverage which has many in India and around the world set up and take notice of the injustice and oppression faced by the Dalit community. To name just a few, Ncdhr has been involved in events such as the World Conference Against Racism in South Africa and advocacy for caste-based violence, All World Social Forum, historic 40 days Dalit Swadhikar rally across India covering into World Social Forum took place in Mumbai 2004. The first ever public hearing on the situation of the Dalits in India at the European Parliament in Brussels in 2006, and the first international conference on Dalit human rights women at the Hague, Netherlands in 2006. Positive results of these efforts include the first ever recognition of Dalit human rights problems by the United Nations in 2001, the European Union in 2007, and the United States Congress in 2007, important events which have increased international pressure on the Government of India to address the seriousness to the Dalit issues. Phase 3, Holding State Accountable. National Campaign for Dalit Human Rights, foremost to hold the state responsible for not checking the impunity being enjoyed by the non-Dalits in the criminal justice administration. Specifically, it provides the scope for challenge the state and its justice delivery mechanism, including the human rights institutions that are in place, to actually implement and enforce its constitutional and legislative measures to safeguard, protect and promote the basic human rights of Dalits. From beginning of phase 3 in the year of 2003, the emphasis was that on grassroots mobilization, linking and strengthening campaigns, alliance building and systematic monitoring and advocacy of atrocities against Dalits to pressure the criminal justice system to act. Phase 4, Current Status. The Ncdhr performs atrocity monitoring, legal intervention and national and international advocacy to achieve a three-pronged objective. First, to hold the state accountable for all human rights violations committed against Dalit. Second, to sensitize civil society by raising visibility of Dalit problem. Third, to render justice to Dalit victims of discrimination and violence. Since 2003, a national secretariat and 14 state chapters were initiated. Ncdhr anchored the Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Odisha, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Pondicherry. On the verge of 10th year of the journey, the National Committee of Ncdhr had undertaken an external review of its chapter structure, focus, intervention and linkages so that it could evolve a clear framework for its future involvement. Member of the National Governing Council, National Executive Committees and the National Council from state chapters, full-timers, staff of the National Secretariat and friends of the Ncdhr were invited for a 3-day consultation on a strategic planning to discuss the future direction for the involvement of the Ncdhr based on the observations, findings, areas to improve upon and the recommendations, and decided to initiate the following 4 movements Dalit Ardhik Adhikar Andolan, All India Dalit Mahila Adhikar Manch, National Federation of Dalit Land Rights Movements, and National Dalit Movement for Justice. Challenges and opportunities, strategies of Ncdhr. Over the years, the Ncdhr has come up with valuable demands to the Government of India, UN body and international community, including caste-based discrimination in Article 1 of the UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, appoint a special rapporteur on working group on the practice of untouchability in Asia, recognize that Dalit rights are human rights at global level, support our demand in the UN and its various organizations, undertake a global effort to abolish untouchability in Asia and consider its practice as a heinous crime against humanity, punishable in the severest form of effective implementation of SC/ST Act 1989 and Prevention of Atrocities Act amended in 2015, strategy soliciting financial support from government and private donors to carry out work of Ncdhr, collaborative efforts with coalition as a responsible and accountable to furthering the vision, objective and goals of Ncdhr, shaping with membership supports. Summary: in sum up, National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights Ncdhr has been playing a vital role in the promotion and protection of Dalit rights or human rights in India. At the global level, the organization has taken up advocacy for policy reformation or policy change regarding caste-based discrimination in the context of UN Convention of all forms of discrimination around the world. However, somewhere they have succeeded in their efforts at international level, at national level, even after almost 2 decades of their inception of Ncdhr, which has gone beyond the implementation of the protective laws to the budgetary allocation and its analysis for policy advocacy has found main cause for non-implementation in lack of resources and infrastructure deficits. Thank you very much for watching this video.